talk for a minute? Girl, I want to know your name. We're back.
Hello, world. In my trauma podcast, season 2. We were gone for a minute. Now we're back again.
Like we never left.
Like we never left. Hakeem played us in with some Tevin Campbell. We filmed a short film back here.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in post-production. Or, easing into post-production, but that's coming soon.
What's life in the year AF? After filming?
After filming. Trying to stay busy. Keeping writing.
A lot of momentum.
Right? So just keeping it in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting with people. Yeah, committing to the work. Doing
Exactly.
the work.
Yeah, it's not trying.
Yeah,
it's doing.
Yeah, doing.
It's doing.
Committing to the work. Staying active. So when the moment comes, or when a moment comes,
Mm-hmm.
I have something to show. But
I can dig it.
Yeah. I was thinking about how in the 2000s, all those white celebrities adopted black kids. And
Angelina Jolie,
but she's not even, Charlize Theron, Sandra Bullock, Madonna. I'm sure you can name others, but just that was like really trendy.
it was like a Birkin.
Yeah, for real.
Give me an African child.
All right. And I'm like, or not even African. Some of them were just black American kids. And I'm like, can you imagine if black people, if
started adopting white children?
Right, like if Denzel Washington just popped up with a white kid, and Viola Davis and some other black actor all in like a 5-year span. I feel like as a community we would be like, hey, what's going on? There were no black kids?
I don't think they'd be able to get away with it.
They wouldn't be able to get away with it.
They would be ostracized.
I think culturally, white people should have had more of a response to that. You couldn't have found any white kids.
They wouldn't, though. That's
right?
That's not their thing.
I know they wouldn't, but that's what it was heavy on my heart today.
They're not really a see something, say something kind of people. They're a little more,
look the other way.
Mm-hmm. If this isn't really on my shoulders, I'm not gonna get myself involved.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Lukewarm, as they've once been called.
Yeah. So that was on my mind. And then we have the election coming up.
Right.
Not very far out. Did you ever think in your lifetime you'd have a first black male president and black woman president?
I don't think I ever thought about it.
Because, how old? 2008?
I think what I'm confused about is how so many people are still on the fence on if Kamala is black.
I think it's so silly, too, because, you didn't question Barack Obama, and he was raised by white people in Hawaii.
Have we had a black president? That might get me in trouble. That might have got me in trouble a couple days ago.
Yeah. But I think that's the more y'all, you're not being serious right now. But yeah, Kamala's hilarious. I love her limp wrist.
Mm-hmm.
She's so
great smile.
Always laughing.
Shows all the teeth. Every time she smiles, she's showing every tooth.
Yeah, laughs with her whole body, Yeah. And she's so real for having her watch party at Howard. I think that's gonna be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I think it's interesting. I had to look up where she went to law school. She went to Howard undergrad. Did you know she went to UCSF law school?
No.
So not super.
The traditional,
not the traditional route.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I'm optimistic.
Are you
measured optimism?
Of course. Do you? I feel like I have been seeing a contingent on the internet, where it's very because single issue voters, and they're like, because of this issue I can't vote for.
Can't support her.
Right, and I respect it, but it also is like, what is your I understand abstaining too. I think abstaining from voting is just as powerful as voting in a way.
Yeah.
It's like the right to do it also means the right not to do it. But
Yeah.
I think it's I don't know. I feel like people get a little misguided.
I've been having that conversation. For one, I can never discount like identity, like being a woman,
Yeah.
being a black woman,
Hmm.
and the kind of claims that people have on black people and black women.
I have been surprised how many people I've heard are like, I can't do it because of this, and for that reason, I'm going that direction. I'm like, well, he's not gonna help that at all. Like that's not. And if you, I don't know how you get there, but
Because I'm like, I I understand too that real change happens in organizing and in
hmm
local elections, and I've not been in those organizing meetings. But if the idea is that you want um, American democracy to fall right now,
hmm we got to
I,
start setting things on fire.
yeah, sure. But like I'm really curious about what how far along organization is to take the place
I
of
feel
that.
like we had a small window when the Dodgers won the championship and they started looting downtown.
Well,
That was the chance where it was like we're doing it.
well, what comes to mind for me was BLM when they were looting for days in major cities and like the organization required for that.
Hmm.
I think that was the window. If we're being really honest, every major city in America, like all your luxury stores are up in flames and broken windows. Like, that takes a lot of organization. Um, so, but
Yeah, I
and
mean
I
people used to burn cities down.
and like
That was what happened in the '60s.
yeah, and like I don't know. We've talked a bit about virtue signaling. Again, I don't want to speak to anybody's motivations. I couldn't know anyone's motivations, but I just am very kind of. Um, I really observe, I guess, you know, how quickly you throw yourself completely into a single issue
That I've never heard you talk
that I've
about
never
before.
heard you talk about before. And like one thing that keeps coming to mind with me or for me is when certain issues really come to the forefront
Hmm.
because now what's happened is you hear Sudan and the Congo tacked on kind of after the fact,
Yeah,
like
it's a little asterisk
yeah,
footnote.
like also Free Sudan and the Congo and Haiti has
Hmm.
is in a really crucial time, and I'm like, I think as far as African countries are concerned, I'm really curious about. Okay, put a pin in that. The novel that you gave me, I couldn't get
Have you
through.
been reading it?
I tried. I couldn't get through the first 40 pages.
I made it to page 71. I kind of feel so. I'm reading it out of spite because you said that I don't read fiction, and I'm doing this so that the
Bullying works.
viewers
In
check it.
Hakeem's own words, bullying works.
Check in with me in a few episodes. I'll be able to say I read a book that Ayana didn't finish. I'm going to be very, very unabashed about it.
Reverse psychology. But anywho,
But no, I know what you mean. So it was the first. I knew it was gonna be a hard read within like the first few pages because I was like, you're just like being wordy for the sake of being wordy.
yeah,
This doesn't contribute anything to what's happening right here.
yeah,
And then I do. I am. I'm reading it kind of at this point as like how I would watch a movie,
hmm
where I'm like, I'm not reading this for any sense of like good prose or just good narrative like device. This is just something that's like could be a cool story.
yeah.
So for that, I've been able to make it a few, into the book, but I don't think it's a good book by any means.
Yeah.
It also has huge plot holes. The book is called Sky Full of Elephants, if anybody wants to read it, but It's yeah, tremendous plot holes that just don't get addressed. Where I'm like, what the fuck is?
Yeah. I mean, for me, he kind of lost me on like
We did buy this book off a TikTok video though, right?
and I think that that's largely how it blew up. I think
Let's
people saw him.
we gotta undemocratize prose. We gotta limit.
It's doing. I think its sales are doing really well.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
It's not good. It's not good cinema, but this is fun to watch.
Yeah. So what I'll say is, within the first 15 pages, I mean, with a grain of salt, I just kind of felt like a Hotep wrote it.
No, 100%.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's basically all our problems would be solved if white people weren't here. And I don't personally feel that way. I think white supremacy is a big part of our problem. And then if they weren't here, we would have to deal with all the other stuff. So
the whole first part of it is, as soon as all the white people went away, they opened all the prisons and just set everyone free. And I'm like, sure, in theory that makes sense, but what about all the people who actually are violent crime offenders? Are you just not going to address that?
That was
We're just going to pretend that this man can go teach at the one. He's an engineering teacher.
And then when he introduced the half-white daughter, I was like,
it was it's what's the way to describe it? It's like it's Tyler Perry for books.
But Hotep Tyler Perry. It's like you can't lose that. It's very like it's very We Was Kings. Yeah. Like,
if the white man went away, we would set us all free.
Right, but I think in the
what I do think though is I think it would make a fun movie.
Probably, and also it's been done before. I think so.
Oh.
I mean, I know Dad was obsessed with this. I won't say obsessed. He was fast. He was interested in this short story. The premise was, and this is different, but it was like aliens come and they say, "Give us all the black people," and the white people are like, "All right."
Yeah.
And so it's, what is it like for black people with the aliens? But I think because I've heard too, I think HBO at one point bought a show that was like, what if black people had colonized and like done slavery or whatever? I'm not interested in that.
I'm not
but if we're entertaining hypotheticals, this is getting back to the way that African countries are treated on like a, as far as conversation is concerned. I would be curious if enslaved people were allowed to maintain language and weren't punished for like learning to read and write.
Yeah.
Like I think that
it's how you erase somebody's history. It's how you cut everything off from a certain point forward, and then you can pretend like every great accomplishment was done by a certain group of people.
Because I have to believe that too exacerbates like the dehumanization, like it
100%.
does the dehumanization that is just so inherent to what we see today, and also how people view African people still on the continent. Because I'm like, I think largely what helps people acknowledge that like genocide is wrong, or like is that they see the humanity in those people. But what I notice is when you tack on like free Sudan, free the Congo, I think it's like they're not seeing those people as having families and friends, and it's very hard to do on like a broad level. So that's what's on my mind, I guess, about these single issue voters, I guess, and glomming onto like.
I feel like that's kind of like the downside of what social media does, right? Is it's like a lot of it at a certain point becomes performative, unless you're like really like devoting your life to that.
Yeah.
Like it is in a sense a little performative, unless like.
Well, I know we talk about virtue signaling. That's what's coming to mind a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know, just what do you believe in your real life? What are you talking about in your real life?
Yeah, a friend of mine, I think the way he put it was, there's the world we want to exist in, there's the world we actually exist in, and you have to decide how you navigate the world we actually exist in.
Mm-hmm. And do what you can to marry the two, right?
Exactly. But I think that's where, I don't know. I feel like there's validity to, every stance as that goes in terms of like being a single issue voter. But I don't think it's there's evils, and there's one that you actively can go against. And I don't know. I get it. There's evils in every direction, but
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm like at a certain point. I mean, again, I guess that's why I have. I don't want to be inflammatory and say I have a lot of respect for people like Angela Davis, but I just mean like some like when you really think about what she did, that they were having like rallies in France with thousands of people
mm-hmm.
for to free her in where Oakland, like
Mm-hmm.
in somewhere in California,
Mm-hmm.
like the ability to galvanize people, is that the
Mm-hmm.
word, and
Mm-hmm.
like push them into action with your writing and what you actually stand for is I don't know that there is a parallel for that today. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it might be because social media, like everything is so democratized, I guess, and like I think even responsibility feels very put off when you can do your part by, and again, I'm not discounting that, but
Yeah.
if you feel like you can do your part from your room,
Yeah.
It's harder to push people to action.
Yeah. And I think ultimately the taking a stance like she did, or like a stance that is that firm,
Mm-hmm.
typically is going to be, you become labeled uh not anti-establishment, but like whatever the far extreme of that is, like
Yeah.
you're a terrorist. People
Yeah,
are going to
yeah.
call you a terrorist,
Yeah.
right? Which she's obviously, in my opinion, she's not a terrorist. I think she was a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a fine line, right? It depends on what you view it as, and I think that's why a lot of people, at least since Palestine has been in the forefront of things in the last year, I feel like a lot more people are, they look at it purely from the view of like, I'm an American, like I come from the America world police, like, point of view.
What do you think about optimism broadly? Do you think it's important to have? Do you
To be optimistic?
Yeah.
No, I'm a nihilist. Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten you to say, or you said that unprovoked on this podcast before, so I'm trying to remember, have I asked you that?
We as a nihilist, we care about nothing.
One of the best movies ever, The Big Lebowski. Walter, man!
You're out of your element. So I'm not a
I was gonna fuck you on Tuesday.
That's a great movie.
Insanity. Optimism. You're not too sold on it?
No, I think optimism is important, obviously. Yeah. We all have to be optimistic.
You have to.
I think the human condition is optimism.
Yeah.
I can go out here and do a little better than I did yesterday. Otherwise, you just, probably trying to touch your head to your toes on the sidewalk.
Oh my gosh. Test it. I guess I have Angela Davis on the brain. Because she had, what is it? You have to behave. You have to live as if it's possible to radically transform your world, and you have to do it all the time. That's like a crude paraphrase, but that's essentially what she said.
Yeah.
I was telling Mom too. You all wouldn't know this. I went to an event and met a woman, and we not romantically. I just met a person, and we exchanged information because maybe we could be helpful to one another. She wasn't my type. To be.
What is that? What is your type? For the people out there watching.
Attractive.
All right, fair enough.
That can only be me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And so, but when she was interested in science fiction, a black woman, And then when I looked at her Instagram, because we exchanged Instagrams, I saw in her bio like reclaiming the rainbow, which I can only take to be homophobic. And I was
She was a lady hotep.
right. She absolutely was.
Is there a term for that?
Hotep-S? I don't know. We could look it up after.
Okay.
Chat.
W's in the chat.
But in the days afterwards, I was telling Mom, I genuinely could not think of a black woman science fiction writer who wasn't gay. And I was like, this bitch doesn't even know her history. Like, you want to be a black woman in science fiction, and you're like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. I was like, fucking.
Did you clock that T?
I didn't clock that T in real time, because had she stood on it and told me to my face, I would have been like. You don't even fucking know what you don't know.
You trifling heifer.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so then I was just thinking of all the black women. I don't know Octavia Butler. I don't know much about her sexuality, but she was writing some really gay.
Just throw it out there. Maybe she is.
I mean, I think she is.
Who said Alicia Keys was it
Sid? That's a very deep cut. We might get canceled for that. They really tried to bury that one.
No, we remember. We remember.
The North remembers.
We remember.
But yeah.
Yeah. Who served that man hot chocolate and fish? She didn't like him.
With milk in it. That was crazy. That was nasty work.
I did a little sugar. I know you like yours a little sweet.
Somebody tried to tell me
that man catfish and milk.
So I was telling somebody that Alicia Keys has a very gay way about her, and they tried to tell me she's just from New York. I was like, there are a lot of.
Is New York gay, chat?
I was like, I know there are a lot of women from New York who don't give gay. Like, what's going on? I feel like you're what is it, grasping at straws with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna grasp, go for it. Put it out there.
But I'm not here to speculate. There are all kinds of ways to be a person. If she says she's straight, go for it. I was like, I kept coming up against, I'm not fighting anybody on it, but like, I've had a few conversations where people insist that everybody's a little bit gay, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that
at all.
I think it's a spectrum.
I think that's, this might get us canceled, but I think that's the gay agenda.
I'll uncancel us. I disagree. That's not the gay agenda. And my thing,
no
turn my hat backwards.
No one thinks everyone is gay like a bisexual woman. And they will, yeah. Hey.
I think I don't know that we have enough time to get into the things that a certain group of people do or don't say. I'm walking a fine line.
I feel like I already dove head first.
Well, as I've already mentioned, my dating life, I'm trying to cover.
You were trying to build a career for you. You can't get canceled yet.
I'm trying to cover all my bases. I will say, if you feel that there is a gay agenda, do you not feel that there is
I don't think there's a gay agenda, to be clear. I'm just talking.
In my opinion, I believe my personal gay agenda is getting, without any direct action on my part, I just prefer that the people who are lesbians know that they're lesbians. I'm not going to take any steps to get them there. I don't need to be the person who ushers you into queerness. But my personal gay agenda is I hope that you find your way. Because I don't think, based on the way people talk and act, that everyone is where they need to be on the spectrum. And maybe we'll never get there.
We probably won't.
But that's Martin Luther King said, the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. That's how I feel about people coming home to being gay. There's justice out there for you. You just have to keep going.
Hey,
But again, I'm not gonna do anything.
Be who you are for your
be who you are for your pride. I'm not gonna do anything to help you along.
I think that's important.
I'm just gonna live my life and trust that you get there.
It's an important distinction.
You know, lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can do.
What is what's the term? I don't want to be the catalyst for your change.
Yeah. Hakeem ate with that one.
Yeah. Bars.
That
was back when I was still putting, words on paper.
Yeah. Did you ever write poetry?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not really a spoken word kind of person. I actually am like vehemently against poetry.
I don't think that's true. Spoken, right?
No, okay, I like rap music. Okay,
yeah,
so
and spoken word and written poetry, those are different. I feel like there are poems that you could sit down and read and you're like, oh, I got something from this. They're poems.
I've known rivers.
Akeem just starts. This is exactly where he just recites the first 2 lines of the Canterbury Tales.
Walnut to Prio with the shore of Sutta. I'll bring out some Beowulf. I got that if you need it. I got that if you need it.
Spoken on that.
Andrapoi menepe husa. Pelutrapon hosmalapola.
These are just party tricks you pull out to let people know how expensive your education was.
That's all it is. That's all it is. You gotta bust it out sometimes.
Exactly. 3 birds on a wire. Very,
That said,
yeah.
I do feel like age is creeping up on me.
I was talking to Mom today.
I have a lone gray hair in my beard, and it's fucking me up.
I pulled out a gray hair from my head last week. I finally figured out what length of blade to use to get my hair cut the right way.
What length is that?
3.
With the grain or against?
Against the grain.
Okay. Respect.
And so, but yeah, I cut my hair and I found like 3 new gray hairs. Which is fine. I was telling Mom.
No, this one gray hair in my beard.
It's fucking you
I
up.
was okay with being bald, but this gray hair in my beard, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sustain.
Start dyeing your beard. Just have black.
I'm going to dye this shit jet black. Look like black dynamite.
But Mom was talking to me about somebody's situation that she knows.
Mm-hmm.
Who the man was dating the woman. He wasn't dating her exclusively. The woman was dating the man exclusively. And so a tale
as old as time.
I dug a little deeper. I was like, so do you think he would care if she were not dating him exclusively? And she was like, I can't say, but she didn't think he necessarily would.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't good enough for the woman. They were in their 50s, and the woman, they'd broken up for good. And the more Mom talked about it, she was like, but if it's working for you. She was like, of these women in their 50s who are not this man's only partner, but the whatever the case. She was like, but if it's working for you all, then why are you pushing against it? And I was like, okay.
For someone who was so... this is how things have to be.
No, I was like,
I grew up, I don't like this term for her.
Because I was like,
I need her to hold the line. I need her to hold the line.
And I was like, so is this not, because we've had lots of conversations about polyamory. I am not a polyamorous.
This is
I won't even say
what happens when you
respectfully.
become a therapist. $200 an hour, you'll tell people anything.
Because I was like, I had to stop her. I was like, is that not polyamory? And then you could hear the wheels turning in the silence where she was like, what? I guess it is.
That's exactly what
it literally is. And she was like, yeah, but like whenever she needed him, he was there. Like, and there were no secrets. And I was like, that's literally polyamory. And she was like, well, you know.
Right, the Mormons aren't that weird after all.
But let me get through it. So I was like, so she was saying she just feels like if she were in her 50s, she wouldn't want a man in her house. Like, it would work for her, just dating somebody and I was like, so if you didn't have what you have now with Dad, you wouldn't want that? And she was like, no, like we have a life partnership. Like, this is beautiful. And I was like, right. Other people want that. like I was just like, what's not clicking?
I'm telling you. Look what that money making.
And so then I was like, she was saying, well, she just feels like if she were single as a 50-year-old and trying to date people who hadn't done the work, then
God forbid.
Right. It was like, and I'm trying to date people who haven't done the work, then I would just be like, any little thing, that's enough. And I was like, maybe that's why you let people date in high school when everyone's still kind of stupid and you can grow together. Maybe that's why it makes sense to not villainize kids for dating. So then you find your person young and you're like, fuck it, we'll just figure it out as we grow.
I agree.
As opposed to your eyes becoming too open to everything that's happening. And it's like, wait... This isn't fun.
This isn't fun at all.
So, yeah, basically I got mom to admit it makes sense to desire a life partner. But I guess at the point...
For a woman who's been married 30 years, is that a revolution? That seems pretty par for the course based on how she's lived her life.
Someone who, when I do something so simple as hang a frame from the wall, she says, "You're such a DIYer. You do so much."
Meanwhile, every frame I hang from the wall is allegedly crooked. You see what lives we lead.
I was like, okay, got it. So try your best. Basically, she says, try your best to get a life partner by 45. But if you don't have it, cut your losses
gracious.
And be poly. I mean, that's the number I said. But she says, essentially,
if I make it past 35 and I haven't figured out, I think I'm just gonna try to go to space or something. I'm gonna commit myself to something else because clearly it's not for me at that point.
Just go
this
get
shit's not working.
Just go get a bunch of degrees and
No, not even. I'm just be like, look, put a regular guy in space. I'll go up there and stream from space.
That's so stupid.
What the fuck else am I gonna do at that point?
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know. Have conversations with your parents. You might. Who knows what they might say?
They say some great shit.
Yeah.
Also, party with your parents if you can.
Yeah. It's a good time. It's a good time. I was talking to
Ray Shrimmer at Dre's in Las Vegas for Dad's retirement. One of the best nights I've ever had.
I can only imagine. Ray Shermer, songbird, or Sway Lee, songbird of a generation.
The number of times he asked me if we should get a table. I was like, it's just me and you. We don't need to do that. He was like, yeah, but we don't have anywhere to sit down.
He said, just shuffle your feet. You'll be okay.
You cut it out, man. You're going to make me take you home.
Just don't lock your knees. You'll be all right. Go grab some wall. I keep saying go grab some wall.
Yes, sir. This table is $3,500. I'm not getting a table.
He said, doing it big. Dad was like, gangstalicious. We're doing it big, nigga.
Thugnificent.
Thugnificent. Oh, not gangstalicious.
Yeah, let's not put...
My mistake. Y'all heard me. Not everybody's gay.
It's the gay agenda.
Yeah, my dad.
Rearing its head again. Can't help yourself.
Oh my God. No, that's Hakeem putting shit on me. I told y'all, my gay agenda has to do with the lesbians. That's cool though. Mm-hmm. I remember before I was ready to come out, which I guess I never really came out, but I guess be honest with myself and others about who I was.
Have I ever talked to you about when you called me to talk about it? Or I think you either called me or you came to the house and I was just like, I don't know what's going on here exactly. You're saying a lot of words and I can tell this is an emotional thing that you're saying, but I don't know what you're saying right now because you're not really saying anything.
I was talking like a politician after a mass shooting.
I was like, what are you trying to tell me? And then once you said it, I was like, yeah, okay, that's okay.
She's just word soup.
had me confused. I was
much like I was for the first 24 years.
I was like, did I do something wrong? I was like, are you upset with me, or what kind of conversation is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got there though.
Maybe the gift is the friends we made along the way.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the real gift.
Exactly.
But when I was soft launching gay conversations, I remember I was talking to mom and dad about probably just brought up being gay, and they were like, I don't really get it. They were like, growing up, we had gay people in the neighborhood. Yeah. Mom was like, there was a gay guy in Northeast who used to shoot dice with your dad and his friends. And he'd be like, yeah, he's gay. But I love that. I love that their frame of reference for, like, the neighborhood gay was that he would
shoot dice.
He would come around and shoot dice. And nobody treated him differently.
Salt of the earth type people.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That is hilarious.
He would gamble.
He did things.
And everybody knew he was gay.
I think it was mom was talking about how Soul Train, like going back and watching Soul Train. She was like, yeah, I guess we just never thought that any of these people on here would.
I mean, that's the crazy, like, I think even she was like, yeah, watching Sylvester, who fully was a trans woman.
Sylvester?
Sylvester, You Make Me Feel Mighty Real, and You Make Me Feel Mighty Real.
I don't know that's called.
Disco legend. Disco legend Sylvester.
Okay.
But I believe privately used she, her pronouns and would fully come out in, like, women's dress. And they were just like, I guess. Like, I was talking
Prince.
about Prince. I think Prince was a straight man. Not straight man, but because I won't assume I won't assume what he was getting down.
Don't put that on him after we've already brought up the gay agenda twice.
I think that I will say, and maybe this is a conversation for today. I think there's a lot of value in expanding the definition of, like, masculinity, and I think Prince did a really good job of that. Mm-hmm. I don't there was definitely a queerness about him. Mm-hmm. Like, for my bell hooks heads out there, she has that quote, queer not as in who you are having sex with, but queer as in the body that is constantly at odds with its surroundings. He never came out, and I never have heard of him being with men. I feel like as much as we hear about people, I've never heard that, or being with anybody other than women. But he definitely was queer, and I'm not a woman, I'm not a man. I'm something that you'll never understand, and if I was your girlfriend, like, he was very queer, and I just think that's really cool. I think there's a lot of value, too, in just, expanding how a person can be a person. Mm.
But as much as I think we do need to dismantle the patriarchy, I think...
that's not a good start.
Through my 20s. No,
Okay, let him cook.
Let me cook.
Go ahead.
It's for the content. Through my 20s, I feel like I dated from a very, pro-woman standpoint. And I think in my 30s, I think I can't do that anymore. I think it has to be a little more about me.
I gotta put me first. He said I gotta
put me first.
Patriarchy or not, I gotta put me first. Oh, God.
Yes, exactly.
What? Okay. I mean, not my circus, not my monkeys. I hope it goes well. Oh, man. Yeah. I was telling mom, fuck it. I was telling mom I went on a first date and somebody said to me, like, I'm not the type of person who has ruled out dating men. Like, I still might want to date a man in the future. Mm. And I just don't understand that, saying that to me, a lesbian woman on a first date.
No, that's dating women. It's just constantly going, well, why did you just say this to me?
Oh, God.
Is this going to get cut? We might have to cut that.
No, we'll leave it in. As I look to camera. I don't agree that that's dating women, but it's just like, what are we even fucking doing? I just needed to be like 15 and meet another cool ass 15-year-old, and we just figure it out. As
It could all be so simple.
It could all be so simple. We could all be having so much fun.
But you rather make
That's a. Did you watch when I sent you?
loving you is like a battle.
Did you watch when I sent?
We both end up scarred. That is different today.
Yeah. Is that the same one where she says "Live for me"? X Factor. Is that X Factor?
Tell me.
She gets the reciprocity. Cry for me. You said you die for me.
I think that's X Factor.
That song is a fucking classic.
Yeah.
But no, that has it. I think "Live for me." There's a lot there.
Yeah.
Don't do bullshit. Just live for me.
Mm-hmm.
Live for me. I don't know. Dating is Luckily, I don't have money, and I've decided I don't. Not luckily, money on the way. Palms itching.
Yeah, it's for sure on the way.
Yeah, money on the way.
In a big way,
right,
not the little way.
Right, I'm saying, clock that tea.
Yeah, shit keeps coming in. It hasn't stopped coming in. Still coming in.
Right. But I just mean, I think at this point in life, I'm very clear. I don't believe in dating while broke. I think it's kind of like how...
I don't like that.
No, I don't believe it.
I don't like that.
To me, it's like you saying you don't believe homeless people should have pets. I think it's very...
Whoa.
It's saying it.
I remember saying this?
Yeah, you don't... But I famously...
I have concepts of saying it.
No, I vividly remember I think we were in the car driving by a man with a dog and a sign, and Hakeem goes, "I just don't know why you would bring a dog into that."
I'll stand on that. I'm 10 toes down on that.
And so
I'm 10 toes down on that.
I'd say my version of that.
That dog is man's best friend, but he's not that dog's best friend with that type of thinking. He needs to be a better person. That's staying in.
So for my part, I don't believe in dating while broke. I mean, at least for me personally, I won't say what other people should do, but I need to have a sense of ease monetarily to approach dating from like an open
You let the
heart.
white man's capitalism creep too far into your cranium.
You're saying just get creative. Me and some girl are just going on a bunch of walks.
That's what I'm saying. That's all it takes. As long as she doesn't have asthma, you'll be good.
You know what that made me think of? Akeem's out here. Maybe he does need to change his ways, seeing women who can't breathe and walk at the same time. I don't know who you put that on.
Charge that to the game.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. You know?
We live and we learn.
We live and we learn.
Sometimes we don't learn that quickly, but we try.
That's when God sends another lesson back around.
Yeah. He gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
Until you come to the altar and you say, "God, please, I'm not that strong.
I can't believe it, Jesus."
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
go ahead.
I was gonna say.
First one back.
Like we never left.
Like we never left.
Yeah.
To many more.
Yeah.
In my trauma podcast. Bye, world.
And when we leave, come together like butt cheeks.
What?